Genocide supporter! Genocide supporter! Genocide supporter! Genocide supporter! Genocide supporter!
Oh, that's too bad. What a shame.
Yeah, it is. It's a damn shame. A damn shame.
What's going on, everyone? Jimmy here from The Quartering, and in a weekend where we've seen some bizarre American behavior to a foreign conflict, including somebody turning themselves into a birthday candle, we have Jerry Seinfeld running into a mob of woke, insane people who yelled perhaps the most unhinged stuff I've ever seen at the man for having absolutely nothing to do with any of it. Now, you all know where I stand. I want America first. I want us to stay out of other people's business. Even if you're one of my many beautiful international viewers, you'd understand the same thing, right? You don't want America over there meddling in your government or your kind of stuff going on. So, it's not that I don't care about people. I do. I care about people in America. Once 100,000 people stop losing their life to these pills and all this other kind of stuff, then we can talk about, getting out there on the international humanitarian circuit. Well, Jerry Seinfeld was just trying to walk down the street, and they had unhinged people screaming at him, calling him calling a Jewish individual one of the bad guys from WW2. When you're out there, I think that it's fine to protest. Obviously, we have a First Amendment right. Look, obviously, it's fine if people want to protest, people want to get out there and have their voices heard in a peaceful way. 100% support that, even if obviously they're out there protesting something I disagree with. They have every right to be there. But some of these people are the dumbest humans on the planet. I mean, am I wrong about that? You're literally calling Jerry Seinfeld one of the bad guys from WW2. You had this soldier, apparently American soldier, turn himself into a birthday candle for what? Now he's gone. He's no longer on the planet, and his message will be forgotten immediately. So he made a quick statement, and then now he's gone, and no one cares. So I don't understand how people get so whipped up into these furies where there are other people's problems, other countries, other nations. It's insane. So you see no serenity for Jerry Seinfeld. He's berated by anti-Israel protesters. And if you hear my dogs are playing, that's all they ever do. The second I hit the record button, it's like they hear the mouse click and they're like, oh, it's time to be noisy and growly and jump on each other now. Anyway, a smiling Jerry Seinfeld waved off anti-Israel protesters who accused him of supporting the removal of the Palestinian people from the planet as he exited the Upper East Side Sunday night. New York City comedian was heckled as he left the building at the 92nd Street and Y in Manhattan that featured former New York Times columnist Barry Weiss, founder of the Free Press. You support terrible things, one protester yelled at Seinfeld, who gave a quick wave before getting into the backseat of a black SUV and was surrounded by NYPD officers, according to footage obtained by the Post. The protesters continued to shout at Seinfeld before the SUV pulled away. F you, you support terrible things, demonstrators seethed. The small crowd of protesters rallied outside the community center that was hosting Barry Weiss, who was giving the 92Y's annual State of the World Jewry address, whatever that is. Protesters were critical of Weiss, a strong supporter of Israel, who, again, at least I understand this aspect of it, okay? If you're Jewish and you support Israel, or if you're Palestinian and you support Palestine, these things make sense, like here in America, right? When you're some white kid from the suburbs who, has got nothing to do on a Friday night, and you're going to scream at somebody on the street, I just wonder what your motivation is. What's driving you? Do you know anybody there? No. Did you read some crap online? Did you want to go there and take a selfie? Sure. Now, maybe the people here who are protesting were all of Palestinian descent. It's difficult to know for sure. But what is not difficult to know is screaming at some random comedian is not going to do anything. So this says protesters were critical of Weiss, a strong supporter of Israel, and tried to connect the passing of a Palestinian professor and poet, to Barry Weiss, apparently. How that person had anything to do with it, I don't know. Al-Arir tweeted in late October that if something had happened to him, I blame Barry Weiss and her likes. The tweet was in response to Weiss criticizing Al-Arir for joking in an earlier tweet about whether an Israeli baby, how an Israeli baby happened to be cooked with or without baking soda. Well, okay. I mean, you're allowed to make that joke, but there's context around that, right? This individual also reportedly mocked the victims of what happened, at that music festival, blah, 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 blah. Sure. Again, I fail to see. This is why these idiots never get anything done. They get out in the streets and they wreck stuff and they make everybody's life miserable. And, they accomplish nothing. I don't have any dog in this race. I don't care one way or the other. And I know that might feel cold, but that comes from a place of me being like, hey, we've got problems here. We've got big problems here that we need to deal with, and we can't deal with that. You know how far $60 billion would go to help Americans? Oh, well, we got to send that to whatever, Ukraine, and then we have to send, another how many billion to Israel, another how many billion to Palestine. You know how far that would go? The wild thing is you look at these seething people filled with hate. Smiling Jerry Seinfeld, who is Jewish, waved off anti-Israel protesters who accuse him of supporting terrible things. I mean, again, why do they think repeating obnoxious and incorrect slogans is going to change anything? Impressive, massive. Again, I don't, it's so weird. That's gold, Jerry, gold. I love Jerry. He has more money than God and continues to live in that dump. Unreal. Yeah, I guess it definitely seems weird that he continues to want to live in New York when you're surrounded by all this just nonsense all the time. The idea that screaming at Jerry Seinfeld is going to accomplish anything. I mean, what level of idiocy are you operating at? How low is your IQ? Here's another brave, overweight white guy covering his face, covering his head, covering all this stuff. Why? What are you even doing there on a Sunday night? You should be at work. If you got time to scream at Jerry Seinfeld, you have time to work, or pick up the trash in the New York streets, or volunteer to help kids, or work, volunteer to help the massive homeless problem they have there. I don't even understand where this, if you look at, maybe they need to realize that there's still hostages there, blah, blah, blah. This is what they're up against. People against goodness, people who support evil, whatever the collective society stands for, they stand against, and they know they're on the wrong side. That's why they wear masks. I mean, a lot of these comments, how many protesters are calling for the immediate release of hostages? I wonder if someone is organizing and paying these protesters, right? Is this even America anymore? There are so many times that I see some sort of footage from the rabid. What do these idiots expect Jerry Seinfeld to change? That's what I want to ask one of these unhinged losers. What do you think screaming at Jerry Seinfeld is going to do? Do you think it's going to make me more sympathetic to your cause? It's the same question I ask these BLM renovators who went through Kenosha or whatever. Is that supposed to make me think that you're the good guy when you're burning down the city? Calling a Jew, one of the bad guys from World War II, what is that? Is that supposed to make me side with you? I don't understand. These people are lost, full of hate, and in my opinion, a powder keg. I don't know why they don't worry about, you know, their own problems. But screaming at Jerry Seinfeld, I just feels like is the definition of these people's entire existence. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you like on it. We'll talk to you again real soon.